Welcome back to the Evolution podcast with Mac and Jen. I am Jen. This is Mac. And today we are going to talk about how Mac keeps me happy.
Kind of. So what I really want to talk about is there's this thing that happens where men try and keep their wives happy because they need something from them, and they get confused, and then this craziness happens, and then they allow their wives to take control in areas where they probably shouldn't, and there's this chaos that happens of like, well, I'm just trying to keep her happy. Like, isn't this what she wants? Like, what, and there's this thing that happens where it's like, yeah, man, like, when you can tell me what a woman's thinking, then you can play with that story. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Like, it flat doesn't work. And yet the world will teach these other things of like, oh, this is what you need to do, how to keep your wife happy, do what she says. Women will say things like, oh, you got to train your man, or who's wearing the pants, and all this bullshit that doesn't mean anything. Because the reality is, like, in a relationship with a man and a woman, if you want to keep her happy, okay, ultimately, you're never going to be able to ask her what makes her happy, and then she's going to tell you, and it's going to work. It's just like, occasionally you might have those little things that come up to play, but the reality is, if you want her to be happy, then you need to be yourself and you need to lead. And when you are yourself and you lead, trust me, like, the happiness comes with it. Now, there might be days when she might say, no, this is what I want, whatever. Stick to who you are, stick to your guns. Okay. Like, no, this is what has to happen. This is what we're going to do, whatever. Now, you obviously, you can't be a tyrannical jackass and create this. Like, this isn't for somebody that's not kind of working on themselves or doing good things or whatever. As a man, you need to make sure that you're whole, that you're doing what you need to do to be aligned, and not just trying to force something into action. Like, get real with yourself, make sure you're good with yourself, and then you do what you need to do. And by you doing that, it gives her the certainty that is required, and then she will follow into that. And then there's times when I'll say, hey, well, what do you need here, or what do you want here? And then she'll tell me. But anytime out, if she doesn't immediately tell me, then then it's like, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, well, this is what I need to do to get it done. And because I'm not trying to serve her all the time, or I'm like, oh, well, what do you need? Because it could be who knows what. They'd be like, oh, well, I need this done, I need this done, I need this done. Okay, great. Like, if I go do all those things, but I don't take care of myself, now I need to take care of myself. And now I start to get anxious and crazy a little bit. And then I'm like, well, what else do you want? Like, and then you could become reactive. Whereas it's like, okay, I can understand you need that done, but I need to go take care of this. Well, I don't want you to go. I need you to do this. I'm like, I understand that, but this is what I need to get done, because I have to keep myself content, so that then my energy is correct, and it doesn't, like, her energy can't really tear mine down. Okay. Like, that's, now there might be times when, like, if there's if she's dealing with something, like, of course it affects my energy, right? Like, because I want her to be taken care of, but it's not my responsibility to like try to, like, oh, what do I do what do I do to fix this thing? It's like, no, just calm down. Like, allow feelings to be felt, and be patient with it and everything else. But one thing that I've found that was very challenging, as going through different relationships and whatever, was trying to always meet her needs without making sure mine were met first. And when mine are met first, sometimes I'll go crazy, and I understand, like, she's not getting a lot of attention from me because I'm being crazy workaholic over here. But when I'm just like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I need to do, and I just do it, then kind of like, as I'm doing it, and I begin to, like, get caught up and go through it, all of a sudden I kind of naturally go to this place of, like, thinking about her, not because she wants me to, because, like, I'm over here doing my thing, and I'm like, I'm getting my stuff done, and now I'm like, I'm missing her. And then automatically I begin to, like, want to do something for her, and then I pile into her, because now I'm excited to and want to, versus me seeking to get her approval or seeking to get something from her. I don't. I do my thing, and then I'm like, I just have this amazing woman. Like, I just have this desire to be there for her, give her something, and then when I do that, through the like she's through the roof, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot to say,
Okay.
but
We'll go back and forth a little bit. Go ahead and
but no,
say
you're
something.
doing a great job.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
jump in.
Yeah, yeah. So just going along those lines, when you say like you need to keep you full and you right, I think that like in order to have a good, I mean, healthy relationship, I think both partners need to make sure that we're keeping ourselves full and our energy right,
Mhm.
and doing things that we love and keep us full. That way, we're giving to each other from a place of overflow. Because if you were just so focused on pleasing me and doing for me, and not taking care of yourself and your
Yeah.
energy, then typically the moment that I would ask you for something, if your energy is not right, you may blow up or react. And same goes for me. Like if I'm not taking care of myself and my keeping my energy full, the minute somebody else requires my energy, and that's when we blow up and react. So if you are not keeping yourself full, and I am requesting of you, can you take the kids here? Can you do this or whatever? If you don't feel good, if you're not taking care of yourself and you blow up and react, that when that happens, like I would immediately um lose trust in your energy,
Yeah.
which in turn would make me feel unsafe.
Mhm.
And so I think when you're talking about all of this, like, what was the title of this? Men
Men
trying to
trying to
keep
keep women
women
happy.
happy. I think the number one thing for me to be for me to be happy is for me to feel safe. But in order for me to feel safe, you cannot lose yourself and lose your shit.
And I also can't lose myself in trying to take care of you.
You can't lose yourself. You can't lose yourself. So you taking care of you and you keeping your energy right gives me a feeling of safety and certainty in you.
Yeah.
Does
And
that make sense?
I think it does. Yeah. Obviously, there's going to be like 300 different versions of where somebody could go with this. Well, you don't understand my situation, or about it doesn't matter. The reality of this is you have to be you. Now, there's a couple different things to kind of assess with this. One is you might be in a relationship that you got in that someone has changed the game. Like you've decided to grow or they've decided to grow, and now you're struggling trying to figure out where you're at. How do you deal with this? What the hell's going on? And realizing that, like, hey, this is life. Like just look at where you're at and be like, what do I need to fulfill myself? And even if you're, let's say, in a not good relationship and you're trying to figure out how to solve it, and both people are one person, often one person trying to change is usually detrimental to the relationship. But when you do it, if well, let me give you an example. I've been married before. I've been in other relationships, previous relationships. When I was like, yeah, something has to change, and typically the girlfriend was like, something's got to change. So I looked at it and I was like, yeah, you're right. Something does have to change. So then I went and changed, and she didn't. She just like something was. Well, they left. Okay, like it's like no, I made myself better. They left. Okay, no problem. Let's just keep moving. And so there is something there, but what ultimately kind of came through was stop trying to please them. Just there's no reason for me to try and please them, and kind of in an unfortunate but fortunate way, when before we had met, I had gotten to that point where it's like, no, I do me, and my perfect wife loves that I do me, right? Like that, like my what I need to do to take care of myself. She respects it. She loves me for it, and she knows that she's going to get way more from me when I do it. And so I created that person. I quit trying to beat around it or trying to, be like, oh well, let me do this for you or anything else. Like, no, this is just who I am. Love me or hate me, I don't care. And it just so happens that when you meet the right person, they love it.
I think one thing that happens in relationships is when the men are trying to keep us happy, again, that's where women, we start to lose respect for you. But what happens is, and what I see most often is in a relationship, we're going along, and I maybe start to criticize you or criticize your decisions, or I kind of, I start really taking over. Women usually tend to start wanting to take over everything, and what happens is men in that situation typically will withdraw and kind of step aside. They'll go put more of their focus into work, or they'll kind of hide in a sense. But that hiding in their eyes is, I'm just trying to keep her happy by staying out of
Yeah.
her way.
She said she wanted to, so I'm just gonna let her.
I'm just gonna I'm just gonna let her. Like that's, I think, when you're saying like men who are kind of bending over backwards or trying to keep their women happy. Um Typically when you're trying to keep your woman happy, one way is by trying to keep her happy is staying out of her way. Typically when you're trying to keep her happy, she is not happy. But your intention is good because you're trying, right? But you don't know what you don't know. And so it's kind of the shift from what we've been taught or what society teaches us. The Bible has it right.
Yeah.
But what society says is, no, you just got to keep her happy.
Well, and one of the big things is nobody's perfect in a relationship. So this dynamic that typically happens is, well, if things go sideways and the man puts his foot down and is like, no, this is not what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. Now he's an asshole. And so guys are like, well, I don't want to be an asshole.
Which is so crazy because like it's like, if you decide to put your foot down and actually start stepping up, or like I would, when I was married, I was wishing that my husband would step up. We were talking to another gentleman the other night, and his wife wants him to grow up. I think a lot of us women have these like sayings, but it's like what we're asking for. And I loved what we said the other night was like, what we really want is certainty of a patriarch, right? Like we want you guys to have that certainty and be that patriarch that can, you know, tell us how it is. Like put your foot down and quit trying to please us, and don't be controlling, but have certainty in like I've got you, and I've got the right decision, and this is what we're doing, like that kind of certainty. And a lot of women, it's hard for us to surrender to that because we are not used to that, because the men in our society, the men that we are surrounded by are weak men that don't do that. But most of us women are craving a man to tell us how it is.
Yeah.
Put us against the wall.
And there might be some guys out there, well, you don't know my wife. I'm like, I don't care, I don't need to know your wife. I will, but what I can tell you, if you come up with that energy, you're, no matter how strong you think your relationship is, you let your wife in a room with a real man, she's going to yearn for that man. So if you either learn to do what you need to do to like lead your family or your relationship, or someday it's going to come to you and it's going to bite you in the ass. Now there's a few things to look at here. Very important things, and Napoleon Hill hits on these in Think and Grow Rich. The fear of loss of love. Okay, like that one will screw you 100% of the time of being able to step up as a man, because you will fear losing the relationship over doing the right thing. And when it comes to doing the right thing, it like ultimately, I will just go to the word, right? Like I go to the Bible. If it's in there, I'm going to stick to it. If it's not in there, then I can have an opinion on how I'm going to roll with it. It's all up to interpretation. But the reality is, in the Bible, it commands the woman to respect the man, right? And it commands the man to love the woman. So you just work on yourself on loving her, even with all the craziness or anything else or whatever. It doesn't matter. You need to love her. Hers is to respect. Now it's not, she doesn't respect me, so therefore I love her. No, it doesn't work that way. It's like commanded by God. I will do what I need to do, and God will provide me. Either He will provide me with the right woman, or He will provide me the solutions with the one I'm with currently. Okay, like that's all I need to think about, and I just let go of everything else. But trying to get past the fear of loss of love, if that's one of your major fears, it is very challenging, and you need to focus on that area to be like, how do I just be me and not be controlled by the fear of losing a relationship, so therefore I'm showing up like a bitch, and I'm not putting my foot down when sometimes I know that the right thing to do was just say it, deal with the consequences, and move forward. Second one is fear of criticism. Like I said, most men will go inside, be like, yeah, but if I do that, then like she's going to tell her mom and her brother and her sister and her dad and everybody else, now I'm going to be an asshole and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. You're the man of your relationship. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Like, you need to understand, like, and I'm not speaking, I'll just put it this way. I'm not speaking to any man that doesn't follow the word of God. I'm just not. If you're not, like, you're at your own will and you can make your own rules and do whatever you want. I don't, like, it is what it is. I'm going to go to a higher authority because I've already screwed this up like the whole way. I got to this place because I learned all these lessons through multiple relationships and time over 40 years to get to where I'm at. So this isn't about me take max authority on how to do this or whatever or what. No, this is just like, do the right thing. And the right thing is that you take care of yourself, that you lead the best you can, and you continue to hold that. But if you are sufficing to the words of a woman, which I take counsel, like, I'm not going to ignore her. Like, she has very good insight, like, very aware, the most amazing woman I've ever met. And so obviously I'm going to allow that and take that in. But if I feel like there's something there, even if I feel like it's going to cause her pain, but I feel like this is the right thing, that's when I know I have to say it, even if it causes pain. Okay, like that's kind of the right thing is the right thing. Nothing else matters. I don't care about anyone else's opinion, and I don't care if she leaves tomorrow. Okay, like well, that wouldn't be quite the correct statement. Um,
Mm,
I would
I
obviously
get it.
care,
It's
and I
fine.
would feel deeply, but if there's something that I did based on me knowing that it was the right thing and she left, then that's when I would say, well, then something better is coming.
That would just mean that you and I just aren't fully aligned,
Yeah.
I would say.
And the beautiful thing is I just stick to this with the very unknown. um like, I don't know what's going to happen half the time. I'm like, well, when I make this move, is she going to leave? Like, I'm like, this could get crazy because I'm about to make a move that most women would run, and it's very uncertain for me, right? But the uncertain for me, when I stick to what's right and she sees me do it, she's like, damn,
Mm.
this guy's legit, right? And then she's like following with me perfectly. And then after the fact, like, that's called faith. When you put when you're willing to go against everything that society and everything else has told you, to do the right thing, to hope that it works out, probably thinking it's not going to, and then come to find out that not only did it work, but she freaking loves you for it. She's like, oh my God, where did he come from? When you get that type of feedback and ability, it's like, you know, thank God for doing the right thing.
Mm.
And just thanking God that he provided the perfect woman for me.
My biggest thing, I think, when I was married was that I felt like when my ex-husband was trying to please me, I had lost respect for him. And so I think a lot of times when you guys think you're doing the right thing, without like the proper training or knowing of then it's like you think you're doing the right thing, your woman loses respect for you. And and that was really hard. And so when I after I got divorced, no, like, I knew when I was figuring out what I wanted moving forward, I knew that I needed a man and I wanted to be with a man that I could 100% like respect, and he wouldn't let me walk all over him or push him over, but a man that I could submit to, like one that I could respect. And so when you do show up with the certainty, even if you are uncertain, like the certainty in knowing that, like, you're following God, whatever you choose, you believe is the right thing. Like, I know, like, I can trust in that, and I trust in that, and I respect you, and, like, I want to follow you, and just knowing that even if it doesn't end up being, quote, unquote, "the right decision," like, it's still the decision that you made, and whatever happens, like, it's the decision we needed in order to grow. So, like, it's always, as long as, like, you're following the path and I'm following you, like, I believe we're on the path. But so the whole respect thing, like, respecting your man, like it's really important. It really is. And when you are a man that isn't that lets that go and just tries to please her and make her happy by letting her do her own thing and make the control, like letting her be in control and letting her make all the decisions because you think that's what makes her happy. That does not make her happy. That makes her lose respect for you and she feels alone. And next thing you know, she wants a divorce.
Yeah,
Like,
and I'll speak directly to that because my previous marriage, right? Like my ex was business doing all these crazy things and whatever. And I was like, yeah, she's good at what she does. I'll just support her in it and she can do it. I'll do this and I'll do this and and whatever. And I kind of allowed her to run. And eventually what happens is there's a lot that could be said in this, but
this could be a long
I
one,
I
but I don't think it's
I
going to
started
be.
to basically look at things and be like, no, this isn't the right thing. Like really looking at like what I could feel was right or wrong, and having to even look at it and say, you know what, whether this is right or wrong, this is what I know I have to do. And therefore, I'm going to do it this way. And I started demanding certain results inside of business. And we had a joint business. And I started saying, hey, I've put in, like the last 4 or 5 years, there's $500,000 unspoken for of it worth of investment of life and everything else. And me working away from home, hundreds of hours a week type craziness. And there's nothing to show for it outside of some like little different things. Like this has to be quantified now, like now. And there was some manipulation in that and everything else. But I went, nope, this is how we're going to do it. And she split just like that. So that just told me she's not the right one. Grateful for the like the changes I made through the relationship and the man I became through that. But I was allowing her to run with all these stories and everything else and with zero commitment. And it was crazy. Nothing was ever followed through or anything else. And so there were certain things that once I stepped up and went, no, this is how it's going to be done, she was out. And that's why I say many of you are going to get stuck in the loss of fear of love, right? Like it is hard to say this is the right thing and lose everything because of it. And I just had to look at it and say, well, that was my decision from the very beginning. Like I showed up this way, therefore it was my choice. So therefore it went this. But I said I wanted an amazing relationship. I wanted this, and this, and I'm not getting it here. So I'm going to make the changes that are required of me to get them. And then she got out of the way and opened the door wide open for me to find what I needed and wanted. So the other part to this is there's this dynamic that especially a lot of men my age with women and men, where a lot of boys only get their emotional fulfillment from their mothers, right? So as soon as they can, they switch from their mom to their girlfriend or their wife, and then they're sucking the life out of their woman, trying to get their emotional fulfillment but trying to act like a man. So not only are they pulling the energy out of their woman, they're also not giving it back because they're acting manly, and you're just killing your women. Okay, there's if you were brought up and your father was not good at telling you he loved you, or you don't have a brotherhood of whether it's siblings or some group of other men, typically men that give you some level of emotional fulfillment, then you're going to seek it from her, and you're going to have these conversations with her. You're going to come home from work and dump all this shit in her lap that she doesn't know how to process the way you do. And that's always going to be a challenge between men and women. Like my bitch sessions can tear her down. I have to kind of pay attention to it, but she's pretty good at just letting me say whatever. And I'm pretty good at like listening to her. And we have a neutral thing there, but I'm still very observant. And sometimes I'll like say like bitch about something that means nothing to me. It means absolutely nothing to me, but I'll realize that it's kind of having a slight effect on her. And I'm like, hold up. Let me slow down here. Let me change the subject. I need to get out of this because it's starting to affect her. Let me get out of this and start talking about her or something. Because I mean, the reality is sometimes I just want to connect with her. And even if it's bitching it or whatever, I don't really care. It's fine. But I don't hold that stuff personal. Women don't handle things that way. It's a completely different thing. So you need to understand that there's a difference to it. But first, I have to take care of me, right? Like I always got to take care of me. I got to make that clear to her. I got to communicate my emotions. I have to get my emotional fulfillment before I try to get it from her. When I am full, I fill her up and then she fucking piles it back on me, right? And this is why she tries to jump my bones all the time, like, so it's and
Mm.
there's uh, guys that, like, honestly, if you want to get laid, be a man. Because if you show up, they can't keep their hands off. And I'm not speaking in this terms of like just us. I see this with any dominant man, even a married woman. Like, you can see it in her eyes that she wants to jump that dude, especially if her man's being a bitch.
You'll see too, like, I mean, women, when we divorce, we want to get, they want to divorce you because you're just not being the man. It's like the first man that that we look at that we feel can put us up against a wall, like that's where
Drawn
we
to
we're drawn to.
like
We
him,
want that.
hypnotic pull, just like this, so
She's
now,
lying to you. She says she doesn't.
yeah. So but here's the thing. That command from God that says love your woman, love your wife, right, stays true even when you're trying to change the game. And often what men will do is they will start to get in this conflicted space of trying to overtake a situation that they put themselves in. uh, it's like your wife's been doing all these things and you're looking at them, and maybe you find yourself in this position of like, yeah, I've allowed way too much. I tell her, like, I'll say things like she wears the pants or whatever, which don't say that. If you say, well, I better talk to the boss or she wears the pants, you're a bitch, right? Like, stop. Don't say that shit. That I don't care what the world says or anybody else. You need to change. What the world has taught you is a lie, and almost give yourself permission to be different, to step up in a much different way, to be a leader. This does not mean that you get to be a tyrant. And what happens is men will be like, well, I'm going to take charge. So then they're an asshole trying to force their way in. You don't have to be an asshole. And in fact, if you are being an asshole, it's even more likely that now you're going to give her the reason she needs to divorce your ass or leave you. Because if it's not good, trust me, they're just looking for a good enough reason to tell everybody else why they left. Because women wear masks and they will lie faster than you do, even though they don't even realize it. They won't communicate their emotions, and you're not communicating yours as well. There's too much generalization in many, many relationships. So you're going to have to look at this and be like, okay, how do I not be an asshole to push her back away out of this situation so that I can take over this? And I really don't want to take over this because she's taking over, and I'd rather just sit back, eat food, drink beer, and play with a ball, whatever. But you're not being the man. You're called to be the man in your relationship by God. You have to step up and actually do that. And that's not always comfortable. So when you begin to change the game, you need to clearly communicate it. Hey, I'm going to change the game on this. You're doing this thing that I don't think is good for your energy. I'm going to take over. No, you're not. No, I am. You're done. And that's it. There's no fight that needs to happen. There's no argument that needs to happen. It's just you state the facts and then you follow through with it. If you don't follow through with it, she's going to be, see, this is why I did it. So don't take over responsibilities that you can't keep. If you are failing to keep your responsibilities, you go find the help you need, the community of men that are going to push you to be better. That's what like I didn't become this person just by one day I woke up and was like, oh, that's what I need to do next. I mean, I'm pretty good at it, but I surrounded myself by other good men. I surrounded myself with the word of God. I eliminated many, many addictions, bad habits, like, over time. And I just kept setting things out there saying, what's next? What's next? What's next? How do I become this person? And so I worked through that. And what do you know? All of a sudden, I find myself in a place where I'm the most honest I've ever been. I'm content with I mean, I'm mostly content. I'm the type where I'm like, I could win a medal, and 3 days later, it's not good enough. You know, it's like that's kind of my nature. But I also know how to honor myself inside of that. So when you show up like this, then they can't keep their hands off. So I'm just give you a word of advice of like, hey, start looking at what is happening and give yourself permission to stop living the way the world has told you for so long. It's not going to work. And women, back off. Like, do not argue. Do not hold on to a responsibility you don't want in the first place. That's one of the major things where women be like, no, this is what I need to do. And if you have little things that where it's like, well, I need to feel important. I've seen this a lot. Well, why are you taking this responsibility away from me? Don't you think I can do it good enough? Don't you do this? Don't you? And it's like this challenging, manipulative questioning. It's like, stop. You don't want it in the first place. You need to go take care of your energy. A man can work 16 hours a day and be okay. A woman cannot. It will destroy you. Like that is not what you're designed to do. There's times where you should be able to go and you should be able to rest and heal. Go and rest and heal if you're in go mode. But what I've seen from women that are the most productive, that dominate wherever they are, whether it's being at home or whether it's in business, they actually manage their energy more than they manage their time. Where's my energy? What do I need to do? And they keep their energy high instead of being like, oh, I'm just going to go hard here. Where men will just be like, I'm going to go 16 hours a day for the next 14 days, knock this out, and we'll be good. And then I'll take 3 days off and I'll do it again. Men can do that. Women can't. You're not physically built that way, or mentally even built that way. So it's like the hunter gatherer, right? Men go hunt when they hunt, and then they like crash and do whatever. It's just different. And obviously, there's about 300 different ways that you could perceive this, take this, or move into the next thing. But if you have the fear of loss of love, you need to start addressing that first. You need to find a community of men that hold you at a standard that's higher, that's always moving up and keeping you, in my opinion, closer to God. I mean, honestly, if you don't have some relevance to the term of do what God said or the word, then I'm not really speaking to you. Okay, so it's just not a good fit. But follow that, do what you need to do, take care of yourself, always have something that makes you content, like keeps you going, keeps you motivated. Never sacrifice yourself 100% to a woman or your family, because then you'll become discontent and the next thing will set you off. And not only are you not taking care of them, but now you will be tearing them down and berating them and blaming them and manipulating and saying stupid shit to your kids that tears them down. And there will be stuff inside of that conversation that you will go bitch to other people, and now those other people will also hold that energy against them. And now you have no way out. You have no way out other than face all of your mistakes, become the asshole, accept it, recognize it, be it, and have to change in that pit of darkness. And that's really hard. So just do, like, you got to do you first, and work on those areas of saying, where am I weak and what needs to change, but recognizing you're still good, and that most of the things in your mind that you've thought about how things ought to be is probably what you need to do. If it's came to you and it's like, well, yeah, but society says, or the world says, or well, that's not how it works. Like, anybody says, well, that's not how it works, probably is full of shit. Because there's only one time you like, this is how it works, and that's the word of God. So just work on it. But I'm going to tell you, like, this is how, if you really want a fulfilling relationship and be able to move up and keep it going, and you want to keep her happy, right? Obviously there's no way for me to keep her happy. Like, I can't read her thoughts. I don't know what it is or whatever. But the happier and the better I am, the more the happier and more certain she is. So the easier it is for her to find her certainty, the better off I am, the more I can give to her to fill up her tank. As a man, I see this as, it's my job to keep her full, not any other way around it. My job. God gave her to me, and so it's my job to keep her full. So I'm going to pour into her, and there's going to be days that there's probably nothing I can do to keep her happy, and that's okay. But and it's not like this. Well, I can tell she's like, this is a bad day, so I'm just going to pour into her to a self-sacrificing effect. No, it doesn't work that way. I'm just like, pouring into her could be as simple as just being like, this doesn't need to affect me, and I'm just going to be content, and I'm just going to sit here and observe. That could be pouring into her, because most men, when they see their wife discomfortable and uncomfortable, they feel like they got to do something about it, because they're too weak to emotionally sit in that little bit of pain and suffering and being like, I can see it, I know it's there, but it's okay. And at the right time, if she needs something, I will give it to her. But it doesn't come at a detriment to me. If I got to go to work, that's part of what needs to be done. And she really, 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 really needs me. No, she doesn't. Like, she will get me when I am available. Now, obviously, if there's a catastrophe, like, yeah, this does not have importance over that. But there's a certain frame that you will know when you know how to hold this frame. You will know when you need to move towards her, or when you need to just hold and take care of yourself. And if you feel drained, you gotta find your own way to take care of it. But because of this dynamic, times when I feel drained, she's more than ready to like take care of me, to like, in fact, this blew my mind. She told me once she enjoys giving me a back rub because it's time of connection. I'm like, what? Like, this, it seems like it would be a job, like, why would you want to work a job? But it's like, no, it's this time of connection that she gets to like. And I'm like, really? I get, like, honestly, like, this is like a win-win. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, I get a back rub, plus I get to fulfill her by connecting with me. I'm confused, right? But that's the difference of like, when it's right, it's right. And when you follow kind of more of the word of God versus the word of the world, these are the types of things that happen. Now, don't get me wrong, she's not like giving me back rubs 24/7. That's not how it works. But there is this beautiful thing, and it goes the same for me. Sometimes, like, I might rub her down because I'm really enjoying filling her up, right? Let alone my hands all over her body. So, it's a win-win for me. But it becomes, all of a sudden, there's this, it's like this flip in reality of like, how is it that we're just winning all the time? Whereas like, these things felt like they were a task before. It's confusing. That's how you keep each other happy, by taking care of yourself, eliminating any fears, and just being true to who you are, being true to the doing the right thing. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. That was really good. You, yeah,
You're in agreement.
I'm in agreement. Yep, you nailed it. Yeah, it was really good. I think you flowed right out of your mouth too. It was just like, and I was agreeing with everything.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there will be more to be said about these things. There'll be more to be said speaking to women as well, as far as like, hey, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Don't lie. Don't put on a mask. Show them who you really are, and watch him accept you. Because a lot of times women they'll hold back who they fully are because they're afraid of what might come if they let it all out. And most of the time, the men can see it anyway, and they're just begging you to let it out so that they can show you that they really do love you. So, challenge on both ends of that, but we're not talking about the women so much today. We're kind of speaking to the men of saying, hey, dude, stop with the stories in your mind, or like, sometimes you're like, I don't, whatever. I know it's hard. I know it's challenging, but figure it out. Start doing it differently, because when you do, the reward of having an amazing relationship, and like, there's, and we're going to talk a little more about some of the crazy shit that I've done recently to it's really spiced things up. So that'll be a good conversation too. But until then, we will see you next time. So thanks for hanging out with us, and look forward to the next podcast.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.